for those that can't jump on. Ooh. Okay, good morning. Today is the 24th of January. And what I wanted to talk to you guys today about is vision. When we join Scentsy, there's usually a vision of some sort, and a lot of us think that there isn't, but it could be as small as I want to get my Scentsy cheaper, which the higher percentage of people, that's what their first vision is that's it. Just, oh, I can get it a little bit of discount. Okay. The next step would be, oh, I can actually make some money and get it cheaper. And so one thing as a leader, which is important, is that we want to make sure we understand what the vision of our new team members are, but we can't inspire unless we are inspired. And so the world tends to kind of look at what our visions, what our yearly resolution is at the beginning of each year. But what's important for us as for our businesses is always to be revisiting this on a more frequent, like I would say, like every 3 to 4 months, because our businesses change that or can change that fast. And when we start to build a team, a lot of people sponsor by accident their first consultant. They really don't know what the benefits are of, being a sponsor, what the benefits are for even their team member. And they may hear, oh, sponsored somebody that you're close with. It's more fun to be on this journey with somebody that you love or enjoy being around, things like that. But I want you guys to think about, since you're all leaders that are in this specific group, you've all sponsored at least one person. And so that means that you've at least once were paid a title, at least as a lead consultant. And I'm not going to go over what that means. If you don't know what that means and you just happen to fall into this group page because, you did that once, that's when, if you have no idea what that means, then it's so important for you to get with your sponsor to kind of really break down what that means to you and why it's important and why you can take advantage of it in some way. But I want you guys to think about, what does being a leader mean to you? Because there are so many different definitions. When I say I want to talk about vision, I want to talk about vision as, what type of leader do you want to be to your team? There's a post that I did a couple days ago. I was at Kirkland's and there was a picture that said, be the leader that you'd want to follow. And so sometimes we don't even know what type of leader that is. We tend to follow people and we haven't really asked ourselves, why am I interested in this person? Why do I follow this person? It could be as simple as, I like her energy. She always has something cute on. It could be, the content that's being given. Could be all of the above. But it's so important for us to sit back and break down, what are we drawn to? What inspires us? Because like I said just a second ago, we can't be inspired unless we are inspired. And so it's so important to know what inspires you. Every leader is different because what they believe is a leader is going to be different. So some people think that a leader knows everything and has to be the encyclopedia of Scentsy. That's in their mind. That's what they think being a leader is. Doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't mean it's wrong. But you have to ask yourself, when I feel like I am being the strongest leader, what am I doing? And what makes me happy? And what motivates me to do it again? And so today I want you guys to sit back, break down what you think a leader is. And when you think of, I want you to jot some names down of people that come to your mind of who a good leader is. What is it about them that draws you to them? What is it that makes you say, hey, I want to be like that person or do what they do? Or just what makes you keep going back to them? And it may not have anything to do with leadership. So that's what's really important, is to know, do I really want to be a leader? Do I understand what that means? Because there is a qualification and obligation as a leader in Scentsy. It's so important for you to know what the minimum requirements are to be a leader. What are the minimum requirements that you should be doing for your team on a monthly basis? That's where you can start. Open up your handbook, your consultant guide. Okay, what does it mean to be a leader in Scentsy's eyes? Am I doing those things? If you are, check, awesome. You've already got that. But let's take it to another level. Are you just checking the box and barely doing the minimum because somebody told you that you had to? Or do you truly want to lead people? Because being a leader does require selfless time and energy putting into other people without any guarantee that you're going to get anything back from it. Financially, time-wise, emotionally, you may not get a relationship out of it. Some people that you pour your heart and soul into, they may give you some, they may do a little bit for a little while and then they drop off. And so when you ask yourself, why do I do this? There has to be a reason that keeps you going, because statistically, it's just the business. Most people will end up dropping off. And it's usually, the statistics come from the people that don't have some type of connection with you or somebody in the business. So if you, to this point, have been just focusing on just your business, I'm not going to say that's bad, because your business is the most important thing. However, for your business to grow and financially, especially, and for you to be able to say, this is a part of my business is leadership, there has to be some type of relationships. Now, the bigger your business gets, I'm here to tell you, your heart wants to have a lot more connection and a lot more time with each person. And you want to have that special time, but unfortunately, it's impossible. So there's a point that you have to figure out, what can you do? And just hope that those people know your heart. If they don't, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing anything wrong, because there's a point that they have to show up as well. They have to put effort into figuring you out and why you do what you do and all of that stuff. If they don't put the time to understand, what your goals are and what your mission in your business is, they're not going to know that, your heart is in it to help them and you care about them. And that's one of the hardest things about leadership, is that there's a lot of people that automatically judge and assume, and it's a lot of it is negative. And so there's that backbone that we have to build, that thick skin, and it forces us to really put a magnifying glass on ourselves and build that confidence of, do I truly know what I am doing and what my purpose is and what my efforts are? Because no matter what those are, people aren't always going to understand them. But the only person that's important to understand that is you. Because the right people are going to see that. If they don't, they're going to ask you the question. And then you're going to be able to share what your intentions are. So, hi, Melissa. Yes. So, yes, the bigger people, the more on your team, there's so many different personalities, so many different desires and whys and visions, you know, it takes a while to find. Now, I want you guys to think about this. So I am going to share this with you in case you don't know this. To be a superstar director, you have to have a minimum of 4 frontline directors. Okay. And that not even counting the volume that you have to have as a group wholesale volume, a team wholesale volume, active frontline. But why only 4? And then also as a superstar director, you have to have 3 active frontline. You would think at the top of the company, there would be a lot more, right? Like, wait a minute, you'd think it'd be like a minimum of like 10 frontline directors or whatever, because 3 and 4 seems kind of attainable, right? It's like, really, that's it? However, most people don't strive to get to that level. And even when they do, they quit before they get there. Or they don't know what it means to get there. There's so many different reasons why, and that's why it's such a small percentage of people that actually get to director and stay there, especially. Melissa says, I send happy mail to them every month to try to connect and share what and how I'm doing too, and let them know I'm thinking of them. I don't know if that works, but it's what I can do right now in between texting them and reaching out. Yeah. So I've always loved that you've done that, Melissa. I remember you telling me, and I think that's such an amazing, that's a lot of commitment on your end, financially, time, everything. However, I'm sure you're starting to, as your business grows, as you have more team members, it'll eventually get to be less attainable unless you have that extra financial to put into it. But what's important is to be paying attention if this is actually working. And so maybe, I know you've been doing it longer than 6 months. I know that. So 6 months is usually a good a time frame to kind of figure out what's working and what's not. So a suggestion that you may want to do is maybe send a survey out and say, hey, I send these mailers out. Is this helpful to you? If I stop this, how would this affect your business? And you're going to get probably some interesting comments, and maybe make sure, say, hey, there's no offense. If you see it and you throw it in the trash, I need to know that because that is my time and money. And, I need to know what's really helping. And then if I could put my time and money in a different place to help you guys, if that's not helping. But it's a generous offer to do that. So they could see what you're doing and to receive, samples like you send out every month, that they probably don't make themselves, but the right person might get a hold of it and say, this is kind of cute, kind of fun. I might want to do this myself. Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe do like a little inside your next mailer. Please take this survey with a QR code and it brings you right there. So all I got to do is scan it. And it gives them a call to action. We could do that with our clients, our hostesses, our team members, that's what's so amazing about those QR codes is it just makes people automatically, psychologically go, oh, let me scan that. Just like the magnets, when we send a magnet, they automatically go, oh, it's a magnet. They slap it on the refrigerator. So that is such awesome tools that we have now. And especially the QR code, it's like, we don't have to mail anything with extra weight like a magnet. So that's even better. So today I'm going to keep this short. I'm going to try to do these, since we're doing these weekly, 30 minutes so what is a leader to you? What leaders do you look at as a leader, and what are their qualifications, their attributes, what are they doing that draws you to them? And it doesn't have to be a Scentsy leader. It could be a leader at your gym. It could be a leader at your school, you know, if you work for, or your job or whatever. What do they do that makes you feel, and put them in that category, you know, because that's a respectful category to, you know, to earn, to say, I look at that person as a leader, because leader is somebody that leads the way, right? It makes you want to follow them. And I told one of my team members once, she was scared to be a leader. She said, I'm not a leader. That's just not who I am. And I asked her, what is a leader to you? And she really couldn't tell me the answer. And I said, well, you know what? Leaders have to be followers first to become a leader before they can become a leader. They have to be able to follow other people's direction and be coachable and try things that they may not have tried or wanted to try, because, you know, the brick road is already paved for all of us. And there's a reason why the majority of things tend to work for most consultants. Now, again, authenticity, it may not work exactly the way it worked for that person, but it opens, there's a part of each action that will work no matter what, right? An example with that would be, what is recognized is repeated. Okay. And what that looks like for you as far as recognition is going to be different. Now, I'm always vulnerable with you guys and transparent. Recognition has been always a struggle with me. It's not because I don't love it and I want to shower you guys with compliments and love, but for some reason, I still am working on, I don't know what the block is, of me sitting down and actually doing like postcards and stuff like that. I have no idea. It is a freaking effort every single month. I don't know why. Once I get into it, I'm happy. I love it. But just to sit down and do it is a struggle for me. And I hope one day I'll figure out what the blockage is. But there's something there, something's blocking me, something maybe I feel that I'm not doing enough of, or whatever it might be. Something is there that I'm working on to figure out what that is. And so there's a million, you know, there's so many leaders out there that do all these amazing things. Like, you know, Melissa does way more than I don't send out every team member or frontline a mailer every single month. Lord knows I would love to do that. That's on my goal sheet, is to connect in some way every single month with everybody. But at this point, I haven't found something that I will actually stick to yet. We got to remember yet, and I'm almost 11 years in, guys. So don't worry, no matter how long you've been in, if there's things that you still haven't figured out. I was on we do a monthly huddle with the superstar directors, and me and Shannon Grant, we put it together and we call on different SSDs to share on different topics. And this one gal, she just joined 3 years ago, and she's a superstar director. And she goes, yeah, it took me about a year to figure my business out. And I'm like, girl, I'm 11 years in and I haven't figured my business out. I still have so much to work on. I'm like, and you're telling me you figured out in a year? You are amazing, you know? And she's just like, oh, I thought it took me forever. And so the perspective and then the skill set, she went on to share, oh, well, I used to be a cheerleader coach. And so her recognition and cheerleading is like, that's what she does, you know? And so that's what got her business to grow so much, is because she figured out how to people's love language immediately and how to do it. And I'm still trying to figure that out, because everybody has a different love language. You know, there are people that they get a postcard in the mail from me and they're like, great. And they trash it, you know? And then there's other people that are like, oh my gosh, postcard, you know? So it's like, where's the median? And so we have to find, there has to be a median, and just say, okay, this is what I could do. I hope it touches somebody's heart. And, you know, if I can do more next month or whatever, awesome. But for now, what can you do, and what can you do consistently? Right. So I would love for next week I know that a lot of you, most of you are watching recorded. I would love for you guys to, oh, you love my postcards. Oh, yay. See, it makes me happy to hear that even one person says my postcards. But you know what? Here's another struggle. You just said that to me, and it made me realize that one of my struggles is sending the same postcard, especially a lot of you that, get paid a title every single month, or, are always in the top sales or whatever. It makes me go like, do they really want another one of these? Like, what can I do different? But it's hard for me to break a sequence. That's my struggle, is because it's hard for me to get on it. And then once I'm on it, it's hard for me to deviate from it and add something, because then it like throws me off. That's when my brain struggles. I don't know if it's the dyslexia or what it is, but it's like, oh gosh, what did I do for that person? And, so that's just a little side note, but I would love for you guys to share. If you can comment below on the Facebook page, or if you're going to be on next week, I'd love to share what you discovered about yourself and what you discovered about your these leaders. I would love for you to share what about these leaders that draw you to them, because there might be something that we don't even realize that draws us to people or to leadership that we haven't figured out yet, but you may have. And it made, oh my gosh, that was the missing thing that, I struggle with, that I didn't realize that I am drawn to and that will motivate me. Because remember, we can't motivate anybody, but we can inspire them to find that motivation. And so that's what we're all going to be doing together, is finding something that motivates us. In this case, it's a leader. And what is it about them? And then that inspiration is going to motivate us to want to do what they do, be like, take actions like them, or have people follow us like they do, or like we follow them, or whatever that may be. And I want you to write down your goals in the next, for let's say 3 months, what you would like to achieve in the next 3 months as a leader that's different from what you're doing now. And I'm doing this with you guys. I'm going to share who I'm drawn to and why. And because what I will share with you guys is that I lost inspiration for a long time. And you guys know that. I'm always so open with you guys. A lot of you have known me through all the ups and downs. And it was very, very hard to inspire other people because I wasn't inspired. And it was because I wasn't connecting for myself in ways that I was before. I wasn't emerging myself in that surrounding of positive energy and positive people and reading. And, the more we dump into our minds, positive and growing, the less we can let in, which is negative. And so for me, when I stopped doing that, all my barriers were coming down, right? Everything I built up fell down. And so a lot of the negativity and lack of confidence started to struggle. And I'm sure all of us have gone through that in some way, shape, or form in our life. It doesn't have to be necessarily Scentsy. Maybe as a mom, maybe as a wife, maybe as whatever you do professionally. And when you think about it, when you do something for a significant amount of time, there's going to be a season that, that's just life, because life doesn't stop. It always throws things at you, right? And it affects us in different ways. It can, and in this case, it affected me in all of my world, because Scentsy is my life, like as far as my career, my personal goals as a leader, as a person, so when it's all intertwined and I didn't have anything separate from that, it closed in on me. But the cool thing is that we always can get out of that. We could always, start from scratch and say, okay, let me open up this book. There's a book that I read over 10 years ago that I'm reading again. And it seems like I'm reading it for the first time, and it's giving me aha moments. Like I probably more than when 10 years ago, because I didn't need it as much back then in this specific way. And so, ask yourself, what are you reading? What are you watching? What are you listening to? And that's helping you become the better rendition of yourself, because we do have to be constantly growing as we are considering ourselves in a leadership position, because leadership can be very hard. Again, all the different personalities, it really makes you have to make a decision at a certain point of, you know, am I going to be who I'm going to be? And am I going to be my biggest fan? Because everybody around you, they're either going to support you, lift you up, or unfortunately, the higher percentage is going to try to break you down and judge you. And if we're aware of that, it won't be as easy to break you, right? I tell a lot of you that I've worked with directly, you've probably heard me say this at one point, is that as long as you and the man upstairs knows what your intentions are and where your heart is, that's the only thing you have to worry about. Because the right people are going to know where your heart is and are going to know and are going to give you grace. And that's I told you guys, that's my word, is grace for yourself, but they're going to give you grace. They're not going to expect you to be perfect. And, you know, I mean, basically, they're not going to expect you to be perfect because they know you're a human being just trying to do the best that you can. And they're going to know that you're putting that extra effort into them because you want to, not because you have to, right? It's because it fills your heart to help support somebody else and hopefully help them grow, right? That's the biggest goal. And that's the biggest satisfaction as a leader, is watching people blow themselves away, doing things that they didn't think they could do, and grow, and the world start changing in front of their eyes because they didn't realize their own capability and what is actually available to them, because the lack of confidence has stopped them from growing and taking action. I think I scheduled it for tomorrow, but I'm going to pull it up so yeah, I think this was tomorrow's quote. It says, low self-esteem is like driving through life with your hand on the brake. So it's like always like if you're on a bicycle, you're just always kind of like scared to really go, right? I was blown away when I saw that. I was listening to a conference talk. He's a book author, Maxwell Maltz. And I'll post the book. I think I just bought it on Audible, but I'll post the book that he wrote. And so when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh, that is so true. Because I know on a personal level is that when I had the highest self-esteem, I was like 100 miles an hour with everything, with, you know, everything I did, everything. I was like, go, 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 go. And everybody was like, man, I want your energy. I was like, oh, I don't, you know, it was because my confidence level was so high. I really, truly felt that I had something to offer in all areas of my life and my business and everything. But when my confidence started to get pushed down and broken, everything was just kind of hesitating and, oh, maybe I should do this. Maybe I should, you know, I just did enough to keep going forward. But I was always scared to go a little further because I led with fear. And so I hope nobody's experienced that, but unfortunately, probably you've all experienced that before. And if you don't know, I want you to think about that. Have I ever led my life in a way that I felt like I was like keeping the brake on the whole time? Again, could be marriage, could be parenthood, could be while you're going to school, your job, Scentsy, obviously. Leadership, because leadership, again, can be scary because expectations come about. At least other people put them upon us, but you don't have to take them. You know, you have a choice to say, this is what I choose to take on, right? Because everybody's going to have different expectations, and there's no way that you're going to be able to live up to all of them. No way. So you can, I respect that expectation. Okay, noted. But that one, wait a minute, that's your own, that's just not who I am. That doesn't bring me joy. That's, whatever. But you have to know what your own vision is of what you want to live your life each and every day as a person, as a friend, as everything that you can categorize yourself as. Does that line up with my integrity? And that's very important for everybody to know, is that integrity is also different to everybody. What I believe integrity is going to be completely different to you. So while you're at it, who your leader, where you're writing down who you are drawn to, also write down what you think what your integrity is and what your standard is that you will not break for another consultant or anybody. There are certain things that even your own spouse, you're like, sorry, that's one thing I just will not break if they want you to do something or whatever. And the personal stuff you can keep to yourselves, but when it comes to, because I'm sure there's some things, but professionally and, you know, even as a human, if it's not inappropriate, I'm happy to hear about that too. One thing I'm very aware of and intentional with is I don't expect anyone to do anything I'm not willing to do. Yeah. And that is the perfect definition of a great leader is, yeah, when you're saying, hey, you need to be doing this, but you're not. One, I think it's just the human in us. We feel naturally icky, but if you don't, you'll see a lot of people on your team. They're not going to be following you. Because it's, you know, why especially as grown adults, like, why would I do something that's, you know, that's considered like a bad manager in like the work field, the brick and mortar field, is that when there's a manager pointing fingers and saying, you need to do this, you need to do that, but they would never do it themselves. That's how they lose employees, right? It's like, screw you, you do this, you know? So yeah, that's great. And to me, even though, I would say that's a part of Melissa's integrity, and that's important to me. I'm not going to say that I've lived up to my integrity entirely, especially in the last few years. There's a lot that that I wasn't doing as much as I normally would do, but I still encouraged it because I know it was best practice, and it's not things that I haven't done in the past. But even Michelle Brooks, we talk a lot, and I love how transparent she is with me. That's why I feel like we grow a lot together, is because we tell it like it is to each other. And one thing she said to me is that, you know, why would I do something if I don't see you doing it? And she goes, because if I see that you're not doing it, it gives me permission to not do it. And, you know, because you are my leader. And so I think, well, if Jess isn't doing it, then why would I? And that really opened my mind of like, whoa, I didn't even realize that she or other people were looking at me that closely and of my actions, because in my head, I'm just doing the best I can each day. But because of what I've done in my business, people are thinking, well, Jess knows what she's doing. And I do, to an extent. And I've helped people grow their businesses. And so I know what I'm doing, but I don't realize that people are following all the time. And that's something that's the confidence in me that has been lost that I need to build back up. So let's build that together. And, I'm 2 minutes over. I'm trying to be respectful for our time. And it's good to see you, Michelle, your beautiful face. And thank you, Melissa, for being on as well and your comments. Do you, Michelle, I know you have to go because you only have 30 minutes. Is there any comments or questions you want to pop in before we close it up?
No, I just wrote a bunch of notes.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Yay.
I have like 3 pages of notes, but.
Oh, yeah. So,
no, but it's good. This is in line with, like, I just started reading or listening to Atomic Habits, which I've had forever, yes, right? Yes. So this kind of goes in line with all of that. So
okay, that's
perfect timing.
Yay. I'm so happy. Okay, so I hope to see you next week if everything permits that you're still at home and everything, but if not, please share on the comments as well. All right, love you guys. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye, Melissa.